So today we're going to talk a little bit about your style, um, organization, backing up your photos. We're also going to talk about where we're going next. So let's get into it. So your style, you don't really pick your style, although you can steer your style. But your style is going to develop over time. And this is literally done by taking pictures, studying pictures, and reviewing your own work. And what I mean by that is all of your pictures, you should go through, edit them, and then go through and pick out your favorites and why you like those. Um, Developing your style can also involve looking through other photographers' work and looking at and judging those pictures and seeing what it is you like about those particular pictures and trying to apply that to your own. And over time, you will develop your own style of picture. So experiment. Um, you know, the stuff that's going to drive your style is what you take pictures of, um, how you edit your pictures, things like that. It should, and it will, um, develop organically. Now, you can try and force the style based on what you have observed, but what's going to happen is over time, you're still going to develop your own individual style, whatever that is. So I just recommend don't focus so much on trying to develop your style. Just study pictures, look at what you like, and when you have made that determination, then steer yourself towards the things that you like. So, with that being said, organizing your pictures. And depending on how many pictures you take, there's several ways you can do it. What I find works the easiest for me is, now, this isn't going to apply to most people, but I have a list of all my cameras that I've ever had. And I create a folder on my computer that says photography. And then under that folder, I have another folder with each camera name. And then under that folder, I have folders with month and year. And under those, I have all the pictures. Now, sometimes I have just the individual pictures. Sometimes depending on how many pictures I have on a memory card, I'll get subfolders. You'll see them like under the DCIM folder. Sometimes I have the subfolders of that numbering under that month year. Now, I understand that's a somewhat complicated method of organization, but I do highly recommend that you organize your pictures early. Get into the habit of keeping your pictures organized. However you do it, just do it from the beginning. You will find your life a lot easier. Backing up your images. Now, depending on how many pictures you take and the type of camera you're using, obviously, this camera, this Hasselblad 907X, is a 100 megapixel camera. So the files are very large. So depending on what your storage requirements are, and if you're not familiar with computer storage, There's various storage medium, which includes things like your local hard drive on your computer, SD cards that are CF Express cards um, that you use in your camera, thumb drives, external hard drives, or external SSD drives, drive arrays. I use an external hard drive. Uh, I also use websites like Flickr and 500px. When I have my favorites, I upload my favorites into those websites. That becomes a useful backup. Um, Now, again, it depends on how many pictures you take and what you're using your pictures for. If you are in the business of photography, odds are you're going to do what I do, which is you have an external backup of all your pictures. In my case, I actually have two external drives that are two separate devices, and I have copies of all my pictures on both of those devices, in addition to what's on my local computer. Now, if you don't take as many pictures, you can get high capacity micro SD. You can get like a 1 terabyte micro SD card for fairly reasonable prices. Although I will say there's been some changes in the storage industry as of late, and I wanted to bring this up. Hard drives are probably going to get more expensive, and not just more expensive by a little, but probably a lot. A major manufacturer of SSD drives, Samsung, is no longer going to be making consumer grade storage products. That's going to hurt supply, which is going to increase demand. Maybe. But it has already had the effect of increasing storage prices. In addition, there's a computer memory manufacturer who's also exiting the consumer market. I believe that company's Corsair. And a lot of this is being driven by these companies are starting to focus on only supplying large-scale manufacturers and their new AI data centers. Now, there might come a time when those markets become saturated and those companies move back to providing consumer goods. But just fair warning, prices on computer components are going to get more expensive. As an example, in November of this last year, I bought a pair of laptops for my grandsons. I got fairly nice gaming laptops, 32 gigs of RAM, an NVIDIA 5070 graphics card, and a terabyte SSD. And of course, Ultra 9 processors. When I bought those laptops, I got them for $1,600 a piece. Those laptops are significantly more expensive today for the exact same model that I purchased. And to the tune of $500 more per laptop. Even my own workstation, which I bought summer of last year, has actually gone up in price. That's not the typical trend. Normally, tech that's last year's generation goes down. That's not the case this time around. So, just an FYI. Now, there are online backup storage services, and I did want to bring this up. If you have Windows 11, you'll have OneDrive. Now, OneDrive provides an automated backup system. Um, I don't know what the limits are on that. I know you can buy additional storage, but I think by default it's 1 terabyte. But the only thing that it backs up normally is, I believe, your documents folder. Now, it might be more than that. I recommend you find out, and it might be different based on the versions of Windows you have. I am using Windows 11 Pro with all the latest patches on it. So that I know I'm getting 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage, and it backs that up automatically. And now it doesn't back it up immediately, but if I need to reload my computer, I know that I can get everything out of my documents folder um, that's been there for at least a couple of days. So that bears investigating. If you don't take that many pictures, then that might be sufficient. There's also Dropbox and Google Drive. So of course, Apple has its own iCloud. So these can be valuable. Now, to keep your costs under control, this is where I would recommend you go through your pictures, keep the pictures that you really love, keep the pictures that you like, but clean them up. The ones that you don't like, particularly the ones that are out of focus, you should delete them. Now, if you want to keep one because, even though it's out of focus, but because it means something to you, then by all means you keep that picture. But most cameras today will do bursts, and you've got 10 pictures of the same thing. You don't really need all 10. You probably need 1, maybe 2. So go through and make a judgment about what pictures you want to keep. This will help keep the amount of storage that you need lower, and help keep the cost down. Now, if you're a professional, of course, particularly if you are shooting like a wedding, then yes, you're going to want to keep every picture. But you should have multiple copies of that picture. And as a practice, weddings, I keep the original SD cards. I buy brand new SD cards for every wedding I ever shot. And I'm, even after copying all those photos onto my computer, I keep those SD cards. And that's my backup, and I keep them organized in a little tray. So, and I mark them with a number. And I keep a little file organized where the number matches the SD card, and I have a line item where I tell it what that SD card contains. I don't, and when I'm done, I write protect those SD cards. So I never accidentally erase those pictures. Nobody's ever come back and asked for pictures because they've had an accident and accidentally removed those pictures. But every client I tell, I have a backup of your images. Should anything ever happen, I can replace those images electronically. And typically, if it's a wedding, I'll provide electronic copies from a backup, usually just for the cost of a replacement SD card. because I never give up that SD card. So anyway, that's it. So develop your own style, protect your work, and keep your stuff organized. You'll find that your life will be a little less frustrating. That lesson, it took me a while to learn. Um, Now, regarding the channel going forward, um, this is technically the last episode of this series. However, starting this month, we're going to go back and revisit each lesson, but I'm going to go significantly more in depth. These are going to be more, I'm not going to call it a master class, but a more advanced class. And, the potential length of these episodes are going to be potentially as long as an hour. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to go through and practice each lesson and practice what I preach, go through and do assignments based on those lessons. I'm going to paste those results in X. I have hashtag SISM FOP. You'll find that tag in the description of the video. For those of you who would like to participate in this, upload your pictures, add the hashtag SISMFOP to your picture. And after 3 or 4 weeks, we will go through and review any pictures that got submitted. We'll review my pictures, and we'll see how we progress. So this is going to be more of a hands-on version of all the lessons that we just went through. So hope to see you come back and experience this with me. And if you do like these videos, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. Please go ahead and comment if you like this content or if there's something you don't like, as long as it's constructive. Anyway, appreciate everybody and have a great week. And we'll see you next week with something new. So that's it. Bye.